Hey everyone, Randolf here, and click here to get to the actual video. If you've seen my Pokemon video, you know why I'm doing this little notification while outside my grave. If not, for my Reverend Reviewers entries, I'm doing two videos on topics that's been a part of my life growing up. First was Pokemon, and now it's this, the THQ WWF and WWE games. This is part of a retrospective I'm doing, and part 1 will be an entry for Red Rim Reviewers. So enjoy the video, my past entries, and the Pokemon video if you haven't seen them already, and of course support the many other entries for this year's tradition of Red Rim Reviewers. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy STFU, whatever. Just take care, guys. First, we're going to take a peek at what was the state WWE games were at before THQ got the license to publish their games. This is WWF Attitude. Yeah, for those who don't know, the WWE was called the WWF, aka World Wrestling Federation. It was called this for years until the early 2000s. I'll get into that at another part, but for now, why is this game titled Attitude? Well, during the time the Monday Night Wars were happening with the WWF and their show Monday Night Raw, and WCW World Championship Wrestling and its show Monday Night Nitro. The WWF were losing at this point, so they decided to add more adult-oriented content, i.e. high violence, swearing, sexual shit, and pretty much anything else non-PC. With this new image, the tagline was, well, Attitude, only to be called the Attitude Era by fans for years until the company officially called it that. All this stuff could be better explained by many wrestling-centered videos and even WWE 13, which we will be getting to at another time. Anyway, for their lineup of games in the past, a good chunk of them were published by Acclaim Entertainment, another now defunct studio, along with another studio popularized by the AVGN, mostly because they were bought by Acclaim. The partnership between Acclaim and the WWF lasted for 12 years, ending with WWF Attitude. So how is it? Well, it's okay, mostly for the time. It's played more like a fighting game with how it handles its move, like press this combo to do this or that move, with a meter of the wrestler's health. It feels rather simple, and it seems like it was the pattern since another game, WWF Warzone, which was named after what they called the second hour of Raw's War, played the same way, except it actually had a training mode to help recognize moves for your wrestler. But it will lead to button mashing, I'll admit that. I believe that these are the first wrestling games with Create a Wrestler mode, and they're pretty basic. Not bad, but hey, probably all they could do at this point. Attitude had a pay-per-view mode, i.e. scheduled matches like a pay-per-view, and a mild career mode, and Warzone had challenge mode. Each are alright, mostly just a string of matches back to back. Funny enough, Warzone was the first game with custom ring options, a feature not to be revisited until way later. All in all, these games are alright, just wish that the gameplay was better. After a while and a little know-how with your created wrestler or your wrestler of choice, it can be fun, but a little too button mashy for my taste for such a type of game, and quite honestly, what THQ brought to the table, it's hard to go back to this control scheme. Hell, played the THQ games before playing Warzone back in my childhood, only to be let down by what came before. In short, they're alright.
Let's get ready to suck it!
Now after a little look at what came before, let's get to THQ's start. THQ had dwelled with wrestling games before. While Acclaim Sports had WWF, THQ had WCW and made a few games like WCW Nitro, WCW vs NWO World Tour, and WCW/NWO Revenge. While the former is said to be a bad game, this wasn't the case when they teamed up with the developer studio Aki Corporation for the latter two, with WCW/NWO Revenge to still be regarded as one of the top wrestling games to date. Then seeing how successful these games were, the WWF abandoned Acclaim to give THQ a go at the license and to use the same system with the WCW games. Funny enough with this, it felt like an overall trade-off since the WWF was getting ahead in the Monday Night Wars at this point with WCW slipping. With this came something magical on Halloween of 1999. WWF Wrestlemania 2000. Now how I'm going to look at these games is by general gameplay, extra modes, other features like Create a Wrestler, and anything else. And here, it seems like an upgrade to the WWF games before it. The pay-per-view mode is like the one in Attitude, but more customized, giving your pay-per-view a name, date, location, etc. Perfect. And this match will be for the Killer Belt. Fantastic. Oh yeah, you can have custom belts, but it's just renaming pictures of existing belts. There was a big roster this time compared to the Acclaim games with pretty much everyone that was wrestling during this time, with some people you need to unlock. The Create a Wrestler is expansive, so much so that you can get lost within it for hours doing the moves alone. Trust me on this one. The career mode is called Road to WrestleMania, giving stats on the wrestler you choose as you go through match after match, eventually getting to the main events, the Royal Rumble, or title shots. Now gameplay generally works on a grappling system and of how long you hold the button. Either tap A or B for a weak attack or grapple, and hold it for a strong one of each. Use the arrows for different strikes and grapple moves, making it much easier than the fighting game like moveset system past games like Attitude or Warzone had. How you do can change momentum, shown by the Attitude bar. Blue means you're at risk and are more easier to pin, knock out, or submit, especially in the danger zone. And red can mean that you're high up and can't even do your special after a taunt. One thing that I always remember is the cartoon referee on the side in single matches. God, I love it. All in all, it plays smoothly and sets up the general gameplay for other WWF and WWE games later on.
Allow the purity of the evil big eye.
WrestleMania 2000 received above average to high reception, so a year later we would have another installment in the N64 lineup. THQ decided to name their next one after the pay-per-view at the time, and dear lord, it's one game that every wrestling fan will get excited for, just from the intro alone. The game in question is
WWF No Mercy.
Released in mid-November and December of 2000. Generally, the game is very similar to WrestleMania 2000, but with plenty added. Weapons, for example, while in WrestleMania 2000, can stay when you drop them rather than just disappearing. Another is that you can go through different areas, i.e. backstage and a bar, rather than just different venues and pay-per-views. The customization is still good, but it feels a little limited since you have to shop in a new feature called SmackDown Mall, where you buy some clothing, moves, and etc., as well as other superstars. The biggest feature in this game is the championship mode, i.e. story mode. Now for future games, I'll mostly be chatting about the story mode if the game has one. And oh god, it's a major plus on the game. You pick a championship, pick your superstars, or superstars if you're going for the tag team belts, and then you drop in a branch story path, which change whether you win or lose, or do certain tasks like the different outcomes for the Royal Rumble. Some you have to win to continue. The only negatives I have is that you can only have one career going on and there isn't any way to help pave your path outside the results of your matches. For example, I lost the Royal Rumble rather early, and then I'm suddenly in an aggressive feud with Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle, which lasts only one match, then with Eddie Guerrero and China after having a 2-second alliance with the 9th wonder of the world. And for some reason, I said some shit about Stephanie McMahon in the meantime, which led to a handicap match with Road Dogg and X-Pac, after having about 2 others with Eddie and China and having to win them all. All leading to a peer pressure / anger influenced title shot with Triple H, and after one hard as hell match to replay it over and over again, I won the belt. Only to lose it via bullshit. All in all, this is one hell of a wrestling game, still played and modded to this day. I honestly don't know what to say that thousands of others haven't already said about it. If there was one game I wish that was truly remade, it would be this. The best wrestling game made during one of the best eras of wrestling. While it's not perfect, hey, it's pretty damn close. Now with the N64 getting two of the best wrestling games, let's skip a bit to the first game in the next generation of consoles. And on the Dreamcast, no doubt, a console everyone defines as one of the best and ahead of its time. So what did it got? WWF Royal Rumble, released on August 1st, 2000. It's actually a port of an arcade game of the same name. So could it be like arcade wrestling games in the past? Could it be a version of the N64 engine? Nope, it's Attitude / Warzone all over again. Sure, it's a port of an arcade game, but it feels lacking, especially after games like No Mercy and the fact that this is the new console generation. And you give WWF fans this? 3-minute matches for single player with fighting style button combos, even to the point of special moves with partners, and a short roster. It's bad when a game about the Royal Rumble, an event that has 30 superstars fighting each other, has about 19 of them. Seriously, in the Royal Rumble mode, you'll fight the same superstars multiple times before running through the full 19. During the normal fights, you can switch between fighting in different locales and even in a steel cage, but it's random, mostly activated during the last minute of the fight. I honestly don't have a lot about this game. It's good for an arcade game, but bad for a console game, even at the time with such a raised bar. Now that we've seen what the N64 in the beginning of the new console generation had to bring, what about the games that N64's rival had, and what its sequel console brought to the table? Well, next time, we'll look at the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 exclusive WWF/E series, the SmackDown series.